Apologies.
Hello?
Hi, Raphael. This is Alex.
Oh, hi. Did you get home all right?
Yeah, thanks, but I wanted to apologize for last night.
Don't worry about it.
But your carpet, it must be ruined. It was so dumb of me to put my coffee on the floor.
Come on, Alex, forget it.
But it must have made a really ugly stain.
Look, it's nothing. I was upset at first, but it doesn't look so bad this morning.
Anyway, I want to pay for the cleaning.
Listen, Alex, it's no big deal. Accidents happen, at parties especially.
Well, if you say so, but I really am sorry.
Okay. See you on Monday. Bye now.
Excuse me, would you mind not walking on the grass?
I beg your pardon?
You aren't allowed to walk on the grass.
Really? I didn't see a sign.
There it is, right over there.
Oh, you're right. I'm terribly sorry.
Oh, good morning, Marianne.
Good afternoon, Sharon. Late again, I see.
Yes, I'm sorry. I couldn't find a parking place.
Maybe you should have left home earlier.
Yes, I know. It won't happen again, Marianne.
It had better not, Sharon. This is the third time this week.
Hey, you.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, you. What do you think you're doing?
I'm just waiting for the bus.
Can't you see there's a line?
Oh, there is? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut. I didn't realize there was a line.
Are you all right?
Yes, I'm okay. But what about my car?
There doesn't seem to be too much damage.
Let me see. Look at that. This is a brand new car. You shouldn't have been going so fast.
Well, it wasn't my fault.
It wasn't your fault? What do you mean, it wasn't your fault? I had the right of way.
As a matter of fact, you didn't. You shouldn't have come out like that.
Why not? There's no stop sign.
Then what's that?
Oh, a stop sign. I must have missed it.
Well, you should have been more careful. You could have gotten us all killed.
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. What else can I say?
Just thank goodness nobody's hurt. Here come the police. You'd better explain it to them.
They didn't stop to tell me.
Police Captain Mel Torino is questioning Nicholas Estrella, the driver of the hijacked Ruby Star truck.
Let's start at the beginning again, Mr. Estrella. How did you lose your truck?
I was making deliveries in Bedford. The truck was loaded with TVs, VCRs, radios, you know, electronics.
Uh-huh. So you drove to Bedford from the Ruby Star warehouse?
Right. About 10 o'clock, I made a delivery on Boyle Street. I'd finished, and I was driving up Boyle when I saw a coffee shop.
So you decided to stop?
That's right. I stopped to get a sandwich to go.
Go on.
It didn't take me more than 3 minutes. I started walking back to the truck and...
Did you see anybody near the truck?
No, nobody. So anyway, I decided to make a phone call. I passed a magazine stand and I stopped to get change.
Okay, then what?
Well, I was talking to my wife when I saw the truck going down the street. I couldn't believe my eyes. I dropped the phone and ran down the street, but they were moving fast. I couldn't catch up.
Did you remember to lock the cab door?
Yes, I always remember to lock it. I'm not stupid.
Okay, take it easy. Can you actually remember locking it this time?
Yes, definitely. I remember putting the key in the lock. The key was all wet and dirty. It was raining, and I dropped it in a puddle.
What about the door on the other side? Did you remember to check it?
I don't actually remember checking it, but it's always locked, and I never use it.
But you don't remember checking it?
No, not really. Maybe I forgot to check it.
So, it could have been open?
Yes, I guess so. But I'd bet anything it wasn't.
So what's your theory?
They must have had keys. They started the engine, didn't they?
How did they get the keys?
Don't ask me. I have no idea. They didn't stop to tell me.
John Lennon, 1940 to 1980.
John Lennon was murdered just before 11 p.m. on December 8, 1980, outside the Dakota, the apartment building where he lived in New York City. He had just gotten out of a car and was walking to the entrance when a voice called, "Mr. Lennon." Lennon turned and was shot 5 times. The killer threw his gun down and stood there smiling. "Do you know what you just did?" shouted the doorman. "I just shot John Lennon," the killer replied. Lennon was rushed to the hospital in a police car, but it was too late. The killer was 25-year-old Mark Chapman from Hawaii. Earlier the same evening, he had asked Lennon for his autograph. In fact, he had been hanging around outside the apartment building for several days. Chapman was a fan of Lennon's and had tried to imitate him in many ways. It is said that he even believed that he was John Lennon.
Beach Watch.
Hey, look at that guy. He's way out there.
You're right. Unless he turns around soon, he'll be in trouble. I'm going in. That guy needs help. Call emergency services.
Oh, no! Unless the lifeguard gets there soon, that guy will drown!
Unless the lifeguard brings him in fast, the guy will die.
Unless she can get his heart going, he won't make it.
I've got a pulse. If I were that guy, I'd give those lifeguards a reward.
Have you seen this ad?
Wanda, have you seen this ad?
Yeah, it looks great, doesn't it? I called them an hour ago. They'll call back if they want me.
Oh, they'll want you. You have beautiful hair.
Thanks. You know I'm excited. I mean, if I go, I'll get a new hairstyle for nothing.
Hey, Bill, look at this ad.
It looks like fun. Why don't you call them up?
I'd love to, but it's a waste of time. My hair's just too short.
Well, I like it the way it is. Anyway, you don't know what they might do.
Oh, that wouldn't bother me. If I had longer hair, I'd call them up. Actually, your hair is pretty long now.
Pablo, look at this. It sounds great. And you have a decent car.
But there are some disadvantages.
Every job has disadvantages.
Oh, I don't know. I'm willing to try it, but I won't take it if they don't pay the phone bill.
Pam, did you see this?
Yeah. You aren't interested, are you?
No, there are too many things wrong with it.
Like what?
Are you kidding? You wouldn't have any security. You wouldn't earn anything if you didn't work all day long every day. And I wouldn't take a job in sales if they didn't provide a car.
Look at the address. Some hotel. I'd never work for a company if they didn't even have an office.
Tina, what do you think of this ad?
It was in last Sunday's paper, too. I called. I have an interview tomorrow.
Do you think you'll get it?
They seem very interested on the phone. I think they'll offer me the job.
So you're going to France?
I didn't say that. I won't take the job unless they give me a round-trip ticket. It'll be hard work, and I won't go unless they offer me a good salary.
There's a job in France in the paper.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't dream of taking it.
Why not? You've always wanted to work overseas.
It's hard work, isn't it? One night off a week.
But the money might be good.
Well, I wouldn't take it unless they pay me a really good salary, with a longer vacation and more free time. And I certainly wouldn't go anywhere overseas unless my ticket was round trip.
Glacier Watch.
Carmen Melvin is from Miami, Florida. She's on vacation in Alaska, and she's taken a flight-seeing trip to a glacier. The helicopter has landed on the glacier.
This way. Watch where you're going, please. Our insurance company doesn't want you to hurt yourselves.
This is incredible.
Isn't it great? Oh, watch your step, and stay close by me. That is, unless you want to fall into a crevice. There are crevices hundreds of feet deep over there. We're going to begin by walking over to look at them.
There's so much ice. And they keep telling us about global warming, you know, that the Earth is getting hotter.
Well, I've been doing this job for 5 years, and the glacier has retreated. It used to be half a mile longer.
Oh, really?
Sure. Unless it begins snowing more during the winters, it'll be gone in 50 years.
What's the reason for that?
We can't say. Farther north, some glaciers are still advancing. Maybe it's the local weather here in southeast Alaska, not the world climate. Unless we do more research, we won't know.
People say it's the greenhouse gases. You know, if every car carried one more passenger, the United States would use less gasoline.
Well, maybe. If everyone planted 1 tree a year, things would improve. And if we all walked instead of driving, the air would be cleaner. And I guess we'd all be healthier. But you can't measure it, really.
So, in 50 years' time, this will all be gone?
Right. Unless the winters start getting colder.
Colder winters? How do you feel about that here in Alaska? Aren't they cold enough for you?
Sure. But I wouldn't live here unless I liked snow and ice. And tourists wouldn't come here unless there were glaciers. And believe me, we need the tourist business. What would you have done?
The Reader's Page. What would you have done? Last week, we invited you, the readers, to write and tell us about things that had happened to you, or things that you had heard about. We wanted stories where people just didn't know what to do next. Here are the stories that interested us the most. That's my coffee. Or was.
I was at a counter in a restaurant in a small western town. I had just been served a cup of coffee. Suddenly, this huge man, he looked like a boxer, came over, picked up my coffee, drank it, banged the cup down on the table, stared at me, and then walked away without saying anything. I suppose I should have said something, but I was scared stiff. I didn't know what to do. What would you have done? Stanley Wempy, Carbondale, Illinois.
In deep water.
I was driving through Oregon on my vacation. It was a very hot day, and I stopped at a small, deserted beach. I didn't have my bathing suit with me, but it was early in the morning, and there were no people or houses in sight. So I took off my clothes and swam out in the ocean in my underwear. I'm a very strong swimmer. I floated on my back, closed my eyes, and relaxed in the water. When I looked back at the beach, several cars had arrived, and there were 20 or 30 people sitting on the sand having a picnic. What would you have done? Jane Dare, Spokane, Washington.
That's a no-no.
I heard a great story about the Reverend Billy Cracker. He'd gone to London to speak at a large meeting. Anyway, when he stepped off the plane, there were a lot of reporters and TV cameras. The first question one of the reporters asked was, "Do you intend to visit any nightclubs in London?" Reverend Cracker smiled at the reporter. "Are there any nightclubs in London?" he answered innocently. The next morning, the headline in one of the London papers was, "Cracker's first question on arrival in London, are there any nightclubs?" How would you have felt? Reverend Oral Richards, Columbia, South Carolina.
Strangers in the Night.
My story isn't funny at all. It was a very frightening experience. You see, one night I woke up suddenly. I heard the tinkle of broken glass from downstairs, and I heard the window opening. Then I heard 2 voices. My wife woke up too. She told me to do something. A couple of days before, there had been a report about a burglary in the local paper. The burglars had been interrupted, and they had beaten up the homeowner. They'd nearly killed him. I was trembling with fear. I just didn't know what to do. In the end, I didn't go down, and they stole the sterling silverware we had inherited from my mother. Was I right? What would you have done? Lorenzo Machado, Abilene, Texas.
Deep fried.
I had parked my car at a local shopping mall, and I was taking a shortcut through the side door of a restaurant. Halfway across the restaurant, I spotted my father eating a hamburger and French fries. He often eats there. I sneaked up behind him, put my hand over his shoulder, took a French fry off the plate, dipped it in the ketchup, and ate it. Then I realized that the man was not my father. I was so embarrassed. I couldn't say a word. What would you have done? Cheryl Redburn, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
A bad day at the office.
What was wrong this morning?
Wrong? What do you mean?
You walked straight past me.
Really? Where?
By that newsstand on First Street.
I'm really sorry, Amy. I just didn't see you.
Come on, Tim. You must have. I was waving.
No, honestly, I didn't see you. If I had seen you, I would have said hello.
Tim, have you sent that fax to Japan?
No, I haven't.
Why haven't you done it yet? It's urgent.
Because you didn't ask me to do it.
I didn't?
No, you didn't. If you had asked me, I'd have sent it. What's the matter, Debbie? You don't look well.
No, I've had a terrible cold. It's better today, though.
I had a bad cold last week.
I know, and you gave it to everyone in the office. I wouldn't have come to work if I'd had a cold like that.
Tim, did you type this letter or did Akiko?
I did. Is there something wrong?
Take a look. This should be $400,000. You typed $40,000.
Oops. I'm really sorry.
And the customer's name should be Snelling, not Smelling.
Oh, no. Did I put that?
If I hadn't noticed it, we could have lost the order.
Hi, Tim. Did you have a good day today?
No, not really. I'm glad it's over. Everything went wrong.
Really?
Yeah. I made a lot of mistakes in typing, then I forgot to send a fax, and Amy got upset because I ignored her on the street.
Why was that?
If I hadn't gone to bed late, it wouldn't have been such an awful day.
A Saturday afternoon.
Laura felt slightly uneasy as the guard unlocked the gates and waved her through. The Blitzkopf Clinic was, after all, the most exclusive institution of its type in the country. She parked her car outside the main entrance of the sterile white main building. She paused on the steps to look at the beautiful flower gardens. An old man was watering the flower bed beside the steps. He smiled at her.
Good afternoon. Are you a new patient?
Oh, I'm not a patient. I'm just here to do some research. I wonder if you could tell me the way to Dr. Blitzkopf's office?
Certainly. Just go through the main door, turn left, walk down to the end of the hall, and it's the last door on the right.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Blitzkopf was expecting her. He had been looking forward to meeting his new research assistant. Dr. Blitzkopf showed her around. He was obviously very proud of his clinic, and Laura was impressed by the relaxed and informal atmosphere. For the next few weeks, Laura spent the mornings interviewing patients and the afternoons in the flower gardens, writing up the results of her research. Some of the patients were withdrawn and depressed. Some seemed almost normal. She found it hard to believe that all of them had been considered too dangerous to live in normal society.
Laura often saw the old man in the straw hat. He spent most of his time working in the flower gardens, but he always stopped to speak to her. She found out that his name was Edward Beale. He was a gentle and mild-mannered man, with clear blue, honest eyes, white hair, and a pinkish complexion. He always looked pleased with life. She became particularly curious about him. One night, at dinner, she asked about Mr. Beale.
Ah, yes, Edward. Nice old guy. He's been here longer than anybody.
What's wrong with him?
Nothing. His family put him here 40 years ago. They never come to visit him, but the bills are always paid on time.
But what had he done?
He burned down his school when he was 17. Over the next few years, there were a number of mysterious fires in his neighborhood, but the family did nothing until he tried to set fire to the family mansion. He was in here the next day. Edward never protested.
And that was 40 years ago?
I'm afraid so.
But he couldn't still be dangerous.
No. If he wanted to start a fire, he could have done it at any time.
Laura was shocked by the story. She wrote letters to Edward's family, but never received a reply. He had never been officially certified as insane, so he could leave at any time. Dr. Blitzkopf let her talk to Edward.
Edward, have you ever thought about leaving this place?
No, this is my home. And anyway, I have nowhere else to go.
But wouldn't you like to go into town sometimes?
I suppose it would be nice, but I wouldn't want to stay away for long. I've spent 40 years working on this garden. What would happen to it if I weren't here?
Laura realized that it would be unkind to make him leave. But when she found out that the next Saturday was his birthday, she arranged with the staff to give him a party. They wanted it to be a surprise, and Dr. Blitzkopf agreed to let him go out for the afternoon. Edward left at 2 o'clock. He seemed quite excited. They expected him to return about 4 o'clock. The cook had made a birthday cake. Laura was standing in the window when she saw him. He was walking up the drive toward the house, whistling cheerfully. Behind him, above the trees, thick, black columns of smoke were beginning to rise slowly into the clear blue sky.
Vacation USA.
Marisol is Colombian and married to George Merrick, an American teaching in Colombia. They've just returned to Colombia, and George is telling his friends at work about their trip.
We had a great time, but it was pretty tiring. We went on most of the tours because Marisol didn't want to miss anything. I really felt we needed more time. If we went again, we'd stay longer. We would have spent more time in San Francisco and less time in Los Angeles if we'd had a choice. Los Angeles was a little disappointing. We went on a tour of Beverly Hills to see the houses of the stars, but unless you had studied film history, you would never have heard of most of them. Generally speaking, the hotels, food, and service were excellent. Marisol found Americans to be very friendly. We probably took too much luggage. Clothes in California were so cheap. It would have been a good idea to take along an empty suitcase. If I'd done that, the savings on clothes would almost have paid for half of the airfare. Well, not really.
The Rizzos, a retired couple from Bangor, Maine, were on the tour with the Merricks. Florence Rizzo was asked about the trip.
We'd been looking forward to this trip for years, and it was the vacation of a lifetime. I think we enjoyed Las Vegas the most, but 2 nights were probably enough. If we'd stayed there much longer, we'd have lost all our money. Disneyland is a must for anyone with children. If only we'd had our grandchildren with us. They would have loved it. We went on some of the tours, and we could have gone on more. But you can't see everything, can you? I loved the food in California. You know, all those salads and fresh vegetables. We wouldn't have gone on this trip unless it had been an escorted tour group. We're not as young as we used to be, and we couldn't have done it on our own. Everyone, however, was so helpful to us.
When you're visiting Northern California, be sure to come to Dr. Bronner's Hot Spring Spa in beautiful, relaxing Calistoga for a fabulous health break. For just $69, you'll get a complete health treatment: mud bath, mineral bath, sauna, steam wrap, and massage. We guarantee that you'll come out feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, and just plain terrific, all for only $69. You can stay at Dr. Bronner's overnight for just $94. All the rooms are spacious and quiet, with large private baths. They all have color TVs, mini refrigerators, and microwaves. Your comfort is our business. We're conveniently located on Lincoln Avenue, just 1 block from the Calistoga bookstore. For reservations, call 1-707-555-2478.